Pursuant to Governor Berkeley's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, and whatever orders have been since then that I don't have written down. This meeting of the Easthampton Ranked Choice Voting Ad Hoc Committee is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to view this meeting while in progress may do so by connecting via Zoom as described on the meeting agenda. Cool. Public speak. Do we have any public speak? I know Ray is here, but in a capacity that is hopefully a bit more than just public speak, because we're going to be talking about some outreach stuff. So that does not need to happen immediately. All right, minutes. Does everyone have the minutes from last meeting? And do we have a motion to approve, or I will say I make a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Just one question.
Yes.
I was not able to attend the meeting that was supposed to be held 2 weeks ago. My understanding is that meeting
did not happen.
Did not happen. So what we're actually voting on is the meeting before that I was at, and so I don't have to abstain. Okay, cool.
Yes. Yep. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any abstain opposed? Okay, passes. The minutes are accepted. To recap, the last scheduled date for this meeting was on the day of a big thunderstorm, and it was a mess. Power was out. The meeting hosting was a problem. So the meeting didn't actually even get started by anyone, and a number of members of the committee had no power either. So it was a pretty direct message from the weather that we should not have a meeting. So we did not. All right. Committee secretary rotation. I could look at the minutes to see who did it last time.
I've already started.
Oh,
Assuming that it was my turn.
fantastic.
I've already started doing minutes.
Jackie, I love it. Thank you.
Jackie, you need my last name?
Barb posted it for us.
Oh, okay, good. Because I don't know how to change this computer.
No worries.
So the main thing that we're going to discuss at this meeting is some outreach stuff, and just kind of get up to speed on that. I know for me in particular, with being out of town a little bit, and COVID, Delta, and everything else has been a little bit hectic. And so that stuff has made me maybe a little bit less prepared. I do not have language for us to look at for a letter, but that is the priority moving forward. So our next meeting will probably be in September, which gives us a roughly month-and-a-half window before the election. In fact, I'm going to suggest that we try and schedule a meeting for maybe 2 weeks out. So like a week or two into September to get a jump on that. And that'll really be the priority over that period of time, is to get a mailer out. I do think that one of the things
we should also know we'll know by the 14th, kind of what we're looking at as far as races.
Oh, that's right, because that's the deadline to return.
Yeah, I mean,
papers, right?
There's 2 weeks after that for people to withdraw, but
right, okay.
You know, it'll right now it's, unless something weird happened while I was out, it's just mayor.
Okay. How many people have returned papers for mayor?
As of when I was in last week, 2.
Okay. And no more than 2 for any district city councilor?
No, there was somebody for precinct 4, but he changed to counselor at large.
Ah, got it.
So that looks to be the race for this time.
Well, it might be a little bit of a bust, but we're going to do our best anyway.
Yeah.
2 candidates on mayor means that we still have RCV going. There can still be write-ins. So we still do want to educate the public about it. It's a little bit of a letdown in terms of the need, but maybe if this is another somewhat low turnout COVID municipal election, that could in fact be a good thing. But we're going to go ahead with it. There's no guarantee that RCV makes more people run in a sample size of 1. So this is the kind of thing where it's like, hopefully this has an effect over time. But I think it's difficult for people to conceive of jumping into local politics in the middle of a ongoing public health craziness. So anyway, that is a good point that we will have some certainty on that, but I don't think that's going to make a big difference. It may make a little difference in terms of what language we end up putting on a mailer. So let's talk a little bit about voter education and publicity in general. And if does anyone other than me have anything that they kind of want to add or report about in regards to that stuff? I see Tom shaking his head a little, but maybe that was not a good. Okay, that seems like a no. Well, in that case, I'd like to welcome Ray for coming. Thank you for being able to make the meeting, and kind of, what this can be for you and for the committee, and it can be as much or as little as you feel like you need or want. This committee is interested in working with people in the community to help voter education around ranked choice voting. We don't entirely know exactly what that looks like, other than the idea of having conversations with folks and trying to engage with people who may then in turn engage with others about the fact that A, we are using RCV, and B, what that means for people and what it's going to look like when they go vote or when they receive a ballot in the mail. So, the main thing that I want to stress is, I think I can speak for pretty much everyone in this committee has some availability to be a resource for questions and public outreach from people. So I know myself in particular, I am happy to be approached by really anyone in the city who has concerns or questions or confusion or anything about how this is all going to go down, what it's going to look like procedurally, what it's going to look like for voters. But I'm curious about, if you in particular have any sort of thoughts about public outreach, any particular questions that you have about how this is being implemented or run, about, very basic things like how it's going to work for an average voter, or really anything else. I just, I think the committee as a whole kind of wanted to create some degree of back and forth with anyone who's a stakeholder, which is really everyone in town. So
another good thing about Ray is he can also maybe give the poll worker perspective as well.
Yep.
I mean, you can.
I know. Me and Ray did
Right.
did a lot of envelopes on the last COVID election.
4 times last year.
Yeah. So I know, so that is another a good point, which is, we're going to have to be doing education for poll workers on this too, especially people who are doing any mail-in ballots and processing those ballots. There's going to be stuff that comes up with the machines, probably more than normal. So,
as far as the rules, though, that govern the ranked choice voting, is there any printed thing that Easthampton has issued or they're following as the guidelines that we can get copies of?
That's a great question. And the answer is yes. So we now have an ordinance. So the ordinance is a great place to start. It is not very long and it has been accepted. It has been approved by the committee. So it is officially part of ordinance now. And that is sort of our implementation guidelines. It's like I said, it's a little bit verbose. It's a legal document, but it's also pretty short. I think it's 6 pages, 5 pages. So that's a good starting point. Also, there is it's sort of an appendix to that, and I can also give you a copy of it. I think Barbara also has a copy of it. It's something that's going to be posted at the polls, is an explanation specifically of the software settings that are used for RCV that have any potential of changing what the actual result is. And that is things like what happens if somebody skips a ranking, what happens if somebody ranks 2 people equally, things like that. So that is another document that is, I mean, the ordinance is public facing, certainly, but this document is probably even more public facing in that it's kind of a plain English explanation of what we consider to be sort of the most important consequential details about RCV tabulation. And then the third thing is going to be a mailer that we put together. This is really going to be the next couple weeks, because I would like it to be essentially ready by the next time we meet, and then we can sort of tweak it into a final thing so it can get printed. But what the mailer will be is an even simpler overview of what the city's doing and how, basically a guide for a voter specifically. So that's the one thing that we don't have currently, but the other 2 documents are final and already exist. And I would be happy to email them to you if you'd like.
Okay.
Dan, I'm kind of wondering if we can maybe talk a little bit about, okay, so if we get the mailer and we have it ready for the next meeting, which say is the middle of September.
Yeah.
Then we tweak it. I mean, I wonder, like, when is the best time to mail it? You don't want it to go out too early. You don't want it to go out last minute.
Right.
And then in addition to that, what other kind of, is it just going to be that and signs at the polls and, information people at the polls? Is there something that I should be thinking about sending in my absentee ballots or by mail ballots? Because I'll be sending those out in October.
Right.
And I think it would be good that if we have something to include in with I just kind of wonder, like, what the thoughts are as far as the whole voter education picture, right?
Yep. Well, I mean, if this were still normal times and not sort of COVID restricted, I always imagined that we would be doing stuff like events, maybe setting up a table somewhere at some event that's in Easthampton, or participating with things like what we had done with Art in the Orchard, where we had done a ranked choice voting election there. COVID makes that a lot more difficult. And as someone who has a reasonably strong allergy to social media, I just haven't been on, I just don't have the bandwidth or capacity to do that stuff on the internet.
Yeah. I do think we're going to have some sort of we'll need something on the city website. We'll need to do some social media outreach.
Yeah. Well, so Tom and I have the Facebook group, which was the Easthampton Voters for Ranked Choice Voting, which was the committee in favor of the ballot question in Easthampton. This is not to do with the statewide. And that Facebook page seems to be still reasonably, there's still people following it, and every once in a while someone's still following it. So that's not necessarily a bad outreach place, and that I do think that things can be posted there.
I think it needs to be to a broader audience than that.
Yeah, and which is why I think like things on the city website is the way to go. I don't, other than mailing every address in the city, which is what we're doing, and posting stuff on the city website, I don't know of a better way personally.
Well, the city has
Online.
a Facebook page, and of
Okay.
course, there's the other pages too.
Yeah,
that-
I
I
think
could
it'd
jump
be-
on there.
Yeah.
It would also be pretty easy to just design something similar to the postcard and post that image on all of those. Like, I don't mind being the person to, or Chris is on a lot of those too. And, a bunch of us are on those pages. So we know where people congregate,
Okay.
sometimes throw flames. Or
Right.
not. But we can we can just have a pretty quick strategy to post them on those pages.
I think that's a good idea.
And so
Yeah.
as far as the people that throw the flames, should we have like a designated point person?
That's what I was, exactly what I was going to say, is that we have, I think the strategy would be one of us posts on all those pages, and then a couple of us kind of lurk to see what the comments look like, so we can just not get into fights with anybody, but just correct misinformation.
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it would be good, Chris, if a bunch of us did it, not just you.
No,
So-
absolutely.
I can do election related,
Yeah.
Right.
things, but,
Do you think there might be any value in this group if we put up a thing in October and we're just like, we're going to have a meeting and it's a Zoom meeting, and log in if you have any questions, just a question and answer session for the public.
sure.
I like that idea. I love that idea.
Doesn't cost anything, and if no one shows up, then I don't know, we just
Go
we get dinner. But
Yeah, put it on all the Facebook pages and the web. Yeah. That's a good idea.
Now, does that have to be a like public hearing official through the city thing? Like, I don't, because I know our regular meetings are open to public speak briefly, and then they're not. Like, do we have to do anything?
I think
for that,
you could have it like as a public forum kind of thing, and just, I mean, it could be one of our committee meetings, but then just open it up for
Okay.
the pub. I think that's fine.
As long as we're allowed to do that, that sounds awesome. I think that's a really good idea.
Sure,
Well, the meetings are open to the public anyway, so.
they are. But I think that,
Yeah.
if you really put it out there to all the places that people would see it, then we might get a few.
Yep. I also think that when it's during our actual meeting, we are not allowed to like respond to public comment, or is that just
It's
for
just the council.
that's only city council? Okay.
And I
Yeah,
think that if we have an agenda item that has a Q&A, we can. I think
Okay.
it's okay.
Okay, great. Good. Okay.
yeah, like when I'm doing a committee, if we have like 100 people there, then I'm going to be pretty strict about when the public can participate. But if it's just like 3 people who show up, and then like you're not
Pretty
going to get in
casual.
trouble for allowing them to participate.
Okay, great. Then I think that we should. I think we should at this meeting schedule our remaining meetings that happen before the election, all of them,
Yep.
including a meeting in October that will have a public Q&A as part of that meeting, and it could even be. It could be before the meeting. It could be a half hour or an hour, probably an hour before the committee meeting, or the first hour of the committee meeting, whatever.
I mean, we could even have 2 Zooms. You could have
Yeah.
one that everybody, well, but they are public meetings if people want to stay.
Yeah.
There's no reason why they wouldn't be able to stay.
Right. So I think I'd like to do that and get that all scheduled out for
Perfect.
everything before the election.
Yep.
It probably makes sense for us to schedule. I mean, it might be the case that we don't need to have it even, but it might make sense to schedule one post-election meeting to
Yeah.
kind of debrief and see if we have any items that require attention or would require attention in the future before we have another election.
That's a good idea.
So I think if everyone's okay with that, I'd like to just do that now.
Yep.
We have everyone.
Yep.
So right now it is the 26th of August. I would love to schedule our next meeting. So I'd like to have an extra meeting next month. If anything, just to really put the pressure on myself and anyone else who volunteers to do anything on mailer stuff, but mostly just to hold myself accountable to that. So I think the 9th, which is in 2 weeks, Thursday.
That's the same night as our Easthampton Democratic City Committee meeting.
Oh, so that's not a great idea.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
We don't have to do it on a Thursday if another.
Oh, no,
day
yeah.
works.
I was going to ask, does either Wednesday the 8th or Friday the 10th?
Not Friday.
Not Friday.
No, you don't meet on Fridays.
Wednesday the 8th? I don't work a 9 to 5.
Well, I don't either, but I'm not going to meet on a Friday.
Yeah. But weekends have like so.
What time are we looking? 6?
Yes. Any evening hours.
So I can't do the 8th. I could do the 14th.
Okay.
And that'll have the benefit of knowing who's. Actually, it doesn't much matter if we know who turned papers in or not.
Well, we'll have. I feel like every day there we'll have a little bit more.
Yeah.
The 14th which is a Tuesday, is not the best day for me just because I have some kid doctor appointments that are in the late afternoon, and so it's just gonna be really unpredictable as to when you get back from those.
Okay.
Because a pediatrician's office at the end of the day is not the most timely of places.
What about the 15th or the 16th?
I could do the 16th. I think the 15th would be.
Well, I know Owen will not be there on the 16th because that's Yom Kippur.
Okay.
So let's go back to the 8th. Can we do 5 o'clock on the 8th?
Yeah.
I could do that.
5 o'clock is, well, maybe that day.
Is this the meeting that we want? No, this is
No.
not the one that
Five would be hard. Well,
When is the cutoff date to get on the ballot for mayor? Is it 15th?
the papers have to be back by the 14th.
14th. So why not have the meeting after that just to make, so we know how many people are running? Because if there's only 2 people running,
Right.
Well,
this thing is really almost not necessary at this point in time until you get an election where
Well,
it'll play into more of an effect.
So Ray, that is true in some degree, but if there are 2 people on the ballot, because we have a space, because there's a write-in space as well.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I know.
We will use ranked choice. So even if it's not a situation where ranked choice voting is likely to have a big effect, everyone is still going to see a ranked choice voting ballot. And so I feel like that is our main concern, is that people know how to interact with that ballot.
Okay, so you don't care how many people are actually running right now?
Well, we care in the sense that if there's only one person, then we are not using RCV.
Yeah.
It would just be a plurality ballot. So
just an FYI, the last day for withdrawals and our ballot position drawing is the 30th, Thursday the 30th.
Right.
Now, right now, the other person running for mayor is not really serious.
Yeah.
Right.
But he probably will not withdraw just because.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I read his thing in the paper, which basically says, if there's another candidate, I might withdraw. But,
Right. There is another person that took out papers, but I don't know if he's going to. I don't know anything about this other person.
Okay. So there may in fact be 3, but we'll see. So let's we can't have, people can't add, there can't potentially be more after the 14th. So
Right.
even though
only write-ins, but that's
Only write-ins, yeah.
Only,
Yep.
yeah. 14th's the date.
Right.
Tom, have you got?
So what about the 16th? I know Owen can't make it, but or earlier, or a little earlier on the 8th, if we did 5:15 on the 8th.
Both work for me.
Both work for you. 16th good for others? Because then we will definitely know that there won't be more people. showing up on
16th or 8th is fine for me.
Yep, me too.
Okay.
Let's just do the 8th then, just because if it's a mailer thing, we should meet sooner rather than later.
Okay. All right.
So,
All right.
so when are we
5:15?
meeting?
We're gonna do 5:30 on the 8th.
Okay.
It's Wednesday, September 8th.
At 5:30. 5:30. Okay.
I
And
can
then-
do that. I'm sorry to interrupt. I can
Yep.
do that, but I'll have to cut out at about 6:10, 6:15.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's fine. Yep. Better than nothing. And then I'd like to do another one in late September. So like the 30th, perhaps.
Works for me.
Yep.
Okay.
At like 6, right? Because
Yeah.
our ballot drawing is at 5.
That would be perfect. Great. 6 o'clock.
So September 30th at 6?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So my goal is that we will have, we will spend the meeting on the 8th is going to be going through a draft of the mailer and making any tweaks or changes to it. And the 30th, we are going to finalize it for printing. Okay, that's the schedule there.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think that
Dan,
yeah,
could
go
you, when you get done with this meeting, could you look at the agenda and make your changes and email it right to me? Because
I will, yeah.
Then I won't have to bug you next week for it.
Yep, perfect. I'll do that right away.
Okay.
And then I think, so election day, is it the 9th? No, it's the 2nd. It's September. It's
Second.
Yeah, September 2nd.
November
November
2nd.
2nd.
November 2nd. So I think realistically, we should aim to have people receive it about 2 weeks before. Does that seem?
Yeah.
So that would be the 19th.
Yeah.
October 19th. So I think we should probably get it to the post office on the 15th. That's the Friday.
So I don't know if the post office is still doing local mail, like sorting, or if they're sending it to Springfield and then getting it back, as silly as that sounds.
It goes to Hartford.
Even in town, still in town's going to Hartford now?
Well, when we were working on last year and bringing up the mail to mail out for the September, November election, they kept the mail there and immediately sorted it for us. Okay.
Yeah.
You'd have to talk to the post office about if they're going to be able to do that again if we have a large mailing to do. Otherwise, it goes to Hartford, gets processed, and then comes back from Hartford.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. And
Yeah.
and I'm seeing, I do a lot of mail, and I'm seeing 8 days.
Right. So having done EDDM before, it actually goes to them. We sort it. So by we, I mean I. But you have to remember EDDM is a little different than first class mail, and the reason is it's not addressed to addresses. Every mailer looks exactly the same, and it's addressed to postal customer or postal resident or whatever. And we deliver that to the post office here or to the post office in Springfield, but the post office here is, as long as they're able to take it, we can give it to them. And it doesn't go over the counter. It goes to their bulk window, the PO box window there, and it's sorted by route. So essentially, they have the number of pieces per route already bundled, and they just take it. So there's no sorting that needs to happen. it's paid for already through the USPS system online through the website.
So how do we do that payment there, Dan? I don't know how to do that.
We could do it. I don't know if this works for you. It might be easier for me to just do it and get reimbursed for it. I could give you the receipt. Would that be the easiest way to do it?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I mean, we're going to have to do a purchase order. You're going to have to. I need to know.
Probably should talk to the treasurer about that.
Yeah.
That's why I thought a
I-
reimbursement might be the easiest, because then I can just put it on a credit card and I can make a purchase order to the city
Yeah.
to get reimbursed for it.
I mean, I guess I better ask to make sure that that's okay.
Okay.
Can
What
I ask a dumb question?
Yeah.
Which, because I'm the newest member of this committee, I still get to say this, forgive my dumb questions, but so if we're sending it to every household in the city, knowing that not every household is a registered voter, is there a reason why we would do that?
Yes, and that's a great question, not a dumb question. The reason is it is a lot less expensive.
Okay,
It is extremely less expensive
gotcha.
to do. So to do to a list of addresses, you essentially need to do first class mail, and that's a 50-cent stamp, even if it's nonprofit, which requires a license and probably more red tape. But even then, it's quite a bit more. This is a mailer. It's called EDDM, which is Every Door Direct Mailer, and it goes to every address on a postal route.
Got it.
And it costs way, way less.
Okay, so my follow-up question to that is, Barb, when's the last day someone can register to vote in Easthampton? And do we want to coordinate it with that?
Yeah, let me count. 1, 2,
It's a great idea.
Yeah, because we can say right on there,
Right,
you're not registered to vote.
October 13th.
October 13th. Okay. So maybe it makes sense to do it a little bit earlier then, right? So instead of the 19th, if it goes out like I don't know, the 7th or the 8th, if we plan to deliver it the 7th or the 8th.
You've also got Columbus Day holiday in there too on the 11th.
The 11th is Columbus Day, so probably mail's not going out that day.
No.
Well, we could aim for like the 6th. I mean, the thing about this is because it's, again, this was the last time it was not COVID, but the things went out the next day. Once the post office got it, they just did it the next day. So they're not going to be sending, I don't know for a fact, but it's a lot of physical stuff and it's not packaged. It's all just in trays. So they're not going to, I don't see any reason why it would all go to some other location. It's all going to carriers in Easthampton. So usually
does it
it'll
make
go
sense
out.
for someone to check in with the post office just to get a
Yeah,
sense of timing?
yeah. I remember at the beginning I said I have to go to the post office tomorrow. So I'll talk to them about it tomorrow and get a
Dan,
confirmation of the stuff. But
Dan, who do you anticipate is going to do the printing on this?
I was thinking like collective copies. The last time I did something like this, I used a union print shop out in Boston. But since this isn't political mail, and honestly, collective copies is kind of, I know some people when they receive notifications, they care if it has a union stamp or not on it, but collective copies has done stuff like this before.
Okay.
So
Just remember that, for paying the bill, I'm going to need to make purchase orders and I'll
Yep.
need to know,
Yep.
just so it doesn't hold up payments and things like that.
right, and again, if it's okay, I don't mind being reimbursed, and I can make the
I
purchase
think for
order.
the printing, it would be better
That'll
than
be easier.
paying the
Okay.
company.
Okay. I can, and when I go to the post office tomorrow, I'll ask them if they can do a purchase order. I think with the EDDM mailing, it's also sort of automated, that it's way easier to just kind of go through the website, and the website processes the whole thing, and you get an order number, and then you just drop everything off. But
Right. I mean, if we can get it up, pay the post office directly, I'm just gonna need to have it probably 2 weeks ahead of time, because it takes like 2 weeks for the checks. So yeah, that might be a little more complicated, but
it's going to be a lot easier to do it on their website with a credit card.
Yeah, can't do that.
Yeah, that's why I was suggesting, if I can do the purchase order and just be reimbursed for it, that would be the easiest.
Okay.
For USPS.
Yeah.
For the print shop, I'm sure they can. I mean,
yeah.
For a local print shop.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
One, I just want to be clear that we just back this deadline up 2 weeks. Are we going to be good with that timeline now?
Yeah, because if we're going to finalize this on the 30th, then
all right.
then it'll be ready for printing as soon as that meeting's done. So. And
were we also going to make a meeting date in October? We made 2 in September.
Yes. But we just haven't gotten there yet.
And it seems like one of the other ways we can use that mailer is to say, we're going to have a question and answer session on Zoom. Go to the city website for the link.
Yep.
So we should set it for, if we get the mailer out on October 7th and into people's hands, and then there's Columbus Day, the 11th, if we do it and the last day to register to vote is the 13th. So maybe, some 12, 13, 14 of October is my suggestion for a meeting.
Yeah.
So Dan, do you think that September 30th is a little late? And I mean, if we're going to move that up, should we maybe meet earlier than that?
How about the 23rd instead?
I'm going to be at a conference.
Okay.
That's a Thursday, but.
The 22nd?
We have a city council meeting.
21st.
I can't do that, but you don't need me necessarily. I think, to be honest though, I think if it's finalized on the 30th and it goes to collective copies on October 1st and gets to the post office on October 4th, right? I think, Dan, you find out that works.
Can they print them that fast?
It depends.
Yeah, it depends.
Okay. But I guess that's what I would think that they would need more time than that.
I could say that if collective copies can't do it, I know someone will be able to do it fast enough. Yep. It might not be someone we like, but it'll get done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we just need to know who's going to do it so I can get the paperwork ready.
Barb, how many do we need if we do every household?
I think it's something like 8,000 or 9,000.
Okay.
I will
a to-do list to reach out to collective copies to find out how long it will take.
Okay, and I can give you the exact number too, and the the specs of what the job would be. Do you want to do that, Jackie? I can email you.
Like 3 color, and then stock and
it would be
size.
Probably a coded card stock.
Okay.
The size is going to be roughly. It's not going to be exactly 8.5 by 11, but it's somewhere in that realm of a big postcard, a big piece of.
Great.
So, okay, so Jackie cannot do the September.
Well, if the 30th if that's workable, then I was just thinking maybe it was too late, but if you think that date's okay, then that's fine.
I think that date's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's keep it the 30th. And then in October, let's have a meeting, and let's have that also be the Q&A. How does October 14th work for people? Yeah, okay. And so what if we do October 14th at 5:00? And
it's going to be a public Q&A. We probably want to do it at no earlier than 6.
Oh, then 6.
Yeah,
okay, well then
people like me are back in the office.
Or we could have our meeting kind of a little bit ahead of time and then let people in for
Okay.
6.
Well, all the same, I won't be able to be here till 6 because
Yeah,
I've gotta come
it
in.
would be hard for me. 5:30 would be okay. We could have like a half an hour.
Let's just make it 6. We'll do the
Okay.
Q&A
Okay.
first, and if we have any matters to attend to as
Okay.
a committee after that, we'll do them then. So October 14th, 6 p.m. And then Barbara, you and I will schedule any training stuff that has to happen.
Right, yeah, sometime in those last 2 weeks
Of October.
of October. And man, I really want to do it in person. I don't think we're going to get everybody. I don't know. I'm not worrying about that yet.
Okay.
I think we're going to have them in person, but
Yeah, I mean, I'd also prefer to do it in person. We can do it safely with masks.
I think so. Upstairs, maybe. Anyway. Okay.
Do you know if all poll workers are going to be vaccinated? Is there a thing about that or not?
I don't think I can say that. I mean,
Okay.
everybody will be wearing, I mean, it's November, but I mean, everybody will have to wear masks, I'm sure, but I don't think there's any way we could require them to be vaccinated.
Okay.
Unless it comes out in a broader.
Right. I didn't know if there was a state thing for that or not. But,
No.
so then let's see, let's have a last meeting on November 18th. How's that for people?
I'm not going to be here, but that's okay.
I would like to do it when you're here because I think
I think you'll have all the data.
the data and I think your impressions of how everything goes are going to be valuable. So
I'm not here the 16th, 17th, 18th of November.
what about the 11th?
Veterans Day.
Wednesday.
Veterans Day. Okay.
Could do the 10th.
Okay. How's
Wednesday.
Wednesday the 10th?
I can't do the 10th, but that's okay.
Okay. I'd like you to be there too, but if we
I would like to be there too, if I'm being honest.
How about the 9th?
The 9th is good for me.
9th?
That far out, everything's fine for me.
9th? All right, let's do the 9th. It'll be a weird Tuesday meeting.
Okay, what time?
6 p.m.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
And what's the purpose of that meeting?
That's going to be sort of a debrief.
Oh,
We're gonna see if there's any remaining things that need to be attended to, and also just forward looking to see if there is any purpose for RCV related logistics before the next election that we use it. So, because I think this committee is going to be pretty much wrapped up at that date. We're not going to have to meet regularly. So.
One thing I like when I was mentioning about the by mail, so they've extended the vote by mail thing. So instead of doing absentee, so anybody that wants to can request a ballot. They're not going to be mailed postcards. So it's, they're going to have to request it. So it's not going to be like it was last year, but I want to have something to put in with the ballots. And I'm expecting they're going to arrive probably the week of October 11th sometime. So if we could just something small, something could be if we could pull that together, so I have something to put in with the ballot, I think that would be good.
So that's by October 11th, you said?
Yeah, because I'll get the ballot, the ballot will go to LHS right as soon as we're done on the 30th with the ballot position drawing.
So can this be like a single letter sized?
I would like it even smaller than a letter size if possible. Just
letter size.
Just really like, this is how you mark, this is how, just something
Right.
really simple.
So is this something that that we need to print, that you need to print, that LHS is going to print?
No, I mean, if you could just make if we could just make it up as a document, now I can print it and photocopy it.
Okay.
I just,
Because that's a lot. I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's many thousands of.
oh, I mean, I don't think we're going to get that many. I mean, I have to say,
Oh, right,
I
right,
think this turnout for the city election is not going to be huge.
right. That's right. Because this is, this is just.
I just don't really see it. And I'm, you know, I'm not sure how many by mail ballots requests we're going to get.
Okay, in that case, like, I think we should plan to do that in parallel with the mailer. I
Yeah.
don't think they can be vastly different. So we will
Right.
discuss it on the 8th and we will finalize it on the 30th
Okay, perfect.
so that you'll have something to just ready to go whenever you get
Right.
those ballots.
And then also we're going to have to think about postings for the polls. I mean, like,
Right.
you know, things that we can put up all over the place. So,
Right. Right. So the software settings are already going up on the walls. And
yeah,
then,
I mean, that's good, but we need a,
No. This
You
is
know,
something that
something
would
really
go inside booths, right? Like a how to mark your ballot thing, like
Right.
a simple,
right.
not very wordy, but like a simple poster kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, and I kind of foresee it being, we have one or two that are large, so we can have some people like standing right next to them. So
Okay.
you can explain to voters, like, yeah, what I don't want to do is have Ray checking in somebody on the poll pad and having to explain to every single voter when they're given their ballot, how to mark the ballot. They
Correct.
want them to have that information before they go to check in.
Right. Well, and someone had mentioned if that's a piece of paper that we can mount inside the booths. You know, there's those blue ones that say
Right.
fill in the big oval. So if we
Right.
have something that goes in those spots too.
Yep, that'd be good too.
Right.
Yep.
You know, another thing that we could do is we could put on the postcard, you know, like, you can bring this to the poll or something, you know, encouraging people to kind of bring along their study sheet, right? You know, like.
Yeah, and people will. I mean, if we, if it.
But I mean, you know, and I'm just thinking it's kind of a situation where a suggestion wouldn't hurt.
Right. The other thing that we could think about is, so either the mailer or the insert, if we had extra copies of it at the polls where people could be handed one or take one.
Yeah. You know, another thing we're going to have to worry about at the polls is that people have to understand that this is only one race and that they have to mark their ballot the regular way for the rest of the ballot.
Yep.
So it's not only going to be a ranked choice, but it's going to be an explanation of like the different parts of the ballot and how to mark both parts.
That was one of the reasons why it was important to me on the ballot itself. It says,
right,
if you have questions, find a poll worker, because and also the importance of why we're doing training with poll workers. But I want really anybody to be able to answer a very basic question.
Right. I don't think, I think when we do our training where the poll workers, it's got to be like really basic, you know.
It will be. Oh, very simple.
Yeah, and it's not complicated. And if it's only two people, it will not be complicated.
Yep.
But can we just confirm the dates just so I've got the times right?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
what I have is Wednesday, September 8th at 5:30.
Yep.
Thursday, September 30th at 6. Thursday, October 14th at 6. And Tuesday, November 9th at 6.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Okay. And then somewhere in those last 2 weeks, we'll be doing other things, but that's not going to be, those won't be committee meetings. Those will be
Right.
poll worker meetings.
I still like the idea of a bunch of us volunteering at the polls with Ask Me About RCV t-shirts.
Yes.
I love it. I mean, I think it's a great idea. I can't do it because I'll be working, but if
And Tom can't do it and Ray can't do it. Well, Ray, you can do it after your shift.
Oh, no, 6 o'clock to 4 o'clock is long enough a shift. I'm ready to go. Get out of there at 4 o'clock.
I understand.
I cannot do an all-day thing at this stage.
Yeah, we do need to have a few extra people in it. Like if there's anybody, Tom and Dan, if you have any people who are ranked choice seat people and they want to volunteer to help.
I was on a call with what remains of the ranked choice voting group who wants to sort of pivot into doing municipal support stuff. And they said they'd send a few people out as volunteers to work on that kind of stuff.
Oh, cool.
Okay. As long as we can meet with them ahead of time, so we know that they're telling people what we want them to say.
Cool. Yeah. I've got a call with them in a couple weeks, so I'll pass that along.
Okay.
Mantis graphics too for shirts if we wanted a few, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. And the last time the one time that I worked with them with shirts, they were able to do them really fast too.
Yeah.
So, all right. Before we keep going, Ray, is there any other questions that you have or thoughts that you have about public outreach or RCV in general, or?
Well, I'd like to see the printed regulations and go from there. But I'm thinking of our seniors a lot of them don't have computers, don't have access to them, especially with COVID right now. The library's not open, so you can't go in there yet until they finish their new ventilation system. That should be hopefully in the next week or two.
Oh, wow.
So I'm thinking that now, once I get the bylaws of how this thing's going to work to understand it fully, I would like to have meetings, and I can schedule them in the October issue, which will come out probably before the end of September, of our monthly newsletter at the Senior Center, and have meetings there for any registered voter. It doesn't have to be a senior, but we'll open it up for anybody that wants to come, and have several meetings in October there at the Senior Center for people about this.
I would be thrilled to help with those, to lead those, to do whatever you need.
Yeah.
I can be available for those.
I think too that putting something in, like just an overview in the newsletter, Ray, in your newsletter would be great. What's your deadline for that kind of stuff?
It changes. Dawn Gratian Moore is the activity director. And sometimes they hold up the newsletter because they're waiting for the Highland Valley menu to come in to get that in the newsletter, so they don't have to print it separately and insert it like they did this month for September, because she was not going to be here. So she had to get it done before she went on vacation.
So if you were going to put it you probably would want it in the October newsletter.
They'll be working. They'll be starting to work. They're starting to work now on the October issue. Okay. Usually, ideally it should be out by the middle of the month. They have to have it out by a Friday for the printer now to print it. And usually you get it back a week later. And so we'll have it. They'll be in before the end of September, and then they're available. They get dropped off at a bunch of places, including the stand out in front of the Senior Center, and a bunch of stores and stuff. And we also do mail out about 50 a month to people that subscribe to it and stuff like that. But in that newsletter, we could have an explanation of the RCV, and also set up some dates and times for different times, and hopefully the new director will be hired, and we can work out where we can have some evening ones for people that are working and stuff that might pick up the newsletter or hear about it. And we can even place an ad in the Hampshire Gazette about the meetings we're having to get the word out to more people that there is a meeting
Well, we're
No,
not going to pay for an ad.
No, but the
they'll
friends
do
will
it.
pay for it. Well, the friends of the friends will pay for it. The fundraising group for the senior center will pay for an ad to have it advertised in the Hampshire Gazette about our meeting at the senior center.
So what's the status of, in-person things like that in the senior center? I mean,
We're
like,
limited right now to 25 people, so we would need people to re-register, call ahead, and get assigned a date and time to come to the senior center. We're limited to 25 people right now in the main floor.
Okay.
Unless it's nice weather and we can have it outside in the parking lot where they have the tent and tables out there right now and stuff. So if it's nice weather during the daytime and stuff like that, we could have it outside. So a larger group, but you never know what the weather's going to be like. So you plan on 25 people maximum. If it's nice weather, you can have it outside if you want to, or you can have it inside.
So Ray, are you comfortable sort of being point on that and coordinating with me in terms of what material might go in terms of explanation or images, and then also the dates for when those would be held?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll touch, because I'm going to email you right after this with those documents.
Okay.
And then just coordinate with me. And like I said, I'm happy to make myself available to be at any or all of those, and to give you what you need to get it into the paper. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I should also have like the specimen ballots themselves by the middle of October. So then you could, actually hold up ballots, like what they're really going to be looking like.
Yeah.
That might be helpful.
That'll be very helpful for poll worker training too.
Well, now, do you know what they're going to look like now? I mean,
you
they get printed, but do you know what the format's going to be at this point in time?
Pretty good idea. Yep. Mhm.
We know what they're going to look like.
We can make up on a big posters. We can make up dummy ballot, for samples too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but what Barbara's going to have mid-October is what it is actually going to look like with the names that are going to be on them.
Yeah.
Whereas now we know what it's going to look like, but we don't know exactly what the names are going to be or what the order is going to be.
Yeah, but we can put fictitious,
Yeah.
I think it'd be good if we
or
can.
whatever, and this is what you have to do to the ballot. Yeah.
Does anybody have time or inclination to work with Easthampton Media to talk about it? Because that's a great space for folks who don't go out much and might want to watch it.
Yeah, I have a pretty good relationship with them. I can reach out and chat with Jen, see what she might be willing to do.
I'm happy to be, if someone, I don't know them and I don't have the ability to like coordinate media, but if I can be useful or
I'll text
if
you.
it's just a matter of being showing
up.
up and working on something, like I'm happy to do that, but I'm not familiar enough with any of them or the facility to like.
Yeah, is there still a channel on TV for that? I mean, I never watch anything on there, so except to look at the meeting links.
Like 191, the local acts.
But they can also post it on their website and then we can put it on Facebook.
Yeah, that's true.
See, I don't do Facebook at all.
Yeah, neither do I.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Probably for the best.
Yeah. Better for your blood pressure, but.
All right. Ray, does that sound like a good plan moving forward?
Yeah, I'll talk to Don too, to get an idea of when we'll need to get the information to her to get into the October newsletter.
Okay.
What she's striving for, a cutoff date this coming month. Yeah.
Okay.
It changes depending upon her schedule and everything else going on there, and especially right now and in the midst of they're covering for Brendan Rogers, who left as director, and they're in the process of interviewing for a new director. So
Okay.
So for that, it would be more like an article kind of thing, right? It wouldn't, I mean,
Well, there'll be an article in the newsletter.
right.
We can have an article about how RCV works, but we can also, in there, we'll also want to set up, give dates and times for a meeting at the senior center, inviting them to call in and get registered for a specific time and date so that we keep within the 25 limit of number of people in there at any one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ray, I probably should put in something there about if it can be before the deadline to register to vote, but also about requesting a ballot by mail. I should write up something just so that's in there and with the times.
Yeah.
And all the election information.
Yeah, because there will be a lot of people that will want to register, vote by mail again, as they did last year, especially seniors.
Yeah, hopefully it's not a huge number.
Because you're not doing in-person voting, early voting at City Hall like we were doing before this year.
I don't want to.
Yeah, well, don't then.
We
Yeah.
can, but I don't want to say that too loud, but I'd rather not.
Yeah.
But I'll try to work on that next week to get something to,
Yeah, but if they're opening up absentee ballots to anybody that wants to vote
yes,
early because of COVID,
yeah,
you'll get a lot of response from a lot of seniors that will
Yeah.
vote that way.
yeah, to let them know what they need to do because
Yeah.
they would need to take the initiative.
Yeah, so that would be a good place to also have that advertised in the October newsletter.
Okay.
Yeah, because well, then you said, what's the cutoff date to request an absentee ballot?
We're not calling them absentees this year. We're doing, there is a cutoff. I think it's the 27th.
Okay.
But I'm not positive that was part of the legislation.
Well, yeah, so we want the
The
newsletter.
reason is, it has to go out and back in the mail. So
Yeah, you need time to process it.
I think 5 days before, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, something right around there is the cutoff.
Okay. Okay, what's important for Dawn, we want the newsletters to be well available at least a week to 10 days before that cutoff date so they can get out to the public and so people can get a chance to see that and realize, oh, I got to call City Hall to get a...
Yeah, I'll work on that soon.
Yeah. Good.
All right.
Okay.
Any other thoughts before we wrap up for the moment?
I have a quick question.
Mhm.
I think that is there like a Google folder that has samples of the RCV materials in it? Or something?
Do you mean in general or ours specifically?
Our stuff, because I don't think I have access to it if we have a thing.
I don't think we have like a shared one. I think it's just an email stuff, but I can email it to you.
Okay, because Dan, if you want, I know you had a first draft or something of the mailer. If you want me to share it with my graphic designer spouse,
Okay.
I would be happy to do that.
Okay.
He makes stuff look really good.
Okay. Great. I'll email you. I'm going to email you after the meeting, and I'm going to email Ray after the meeting.
We probably want to have the city seal on there someplace, just so people really know that it's coming from, the government, not from like a candidate or something like that.
Yep. Definitely with you. Okay. Cool. Is there any new business? All right. We've picked next meeting dates. I think we're all set.
Okay.
Jackie, I'm going to email you, and Ray, I'm going to email you.
Great, thank you.
And I guess motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was
right.
everybody. Guys, thank you very much.
Thank
We're
you.
at the home stretch of this. We can do it.
Okay. All right.
All right. Good night, guys.
Push.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.